You're listening to the Jōrni Podcast. Could tuning your frequency open doors that effort never has? Join me for today's episode and find out more. Hi, I'm Petra Brunbauer. What if everything we've been told about holistic health, healing, and well-being is only part of the story? Because thriving in today's world looks different than it used to. Here, we challenge the narratives, rethink what it means to become human, and explore how that shapes the way we lead, live, and step into our full potential. This is the Jōrni Podcast. Welcome to today's episode. What does the body do with everything we have never been able to express, the emotions we pushed down, and the things we decided it was safer to just move on from? Most of us assume we have to go back through all of it to find our way out, and that assumption alone can keep us from even starting. Wayte is a high-level energy and frequency healer to the world's most discerning leaders and entrepreneurs. She combines intuitive mastery, energetic precision, and her classically trained voice to shift energy and frequency in real time. At the highest level, strategy alone is no longer the answer. Rachel's work allows founders and leaders to cross over into purpose and legacy, attaining the ultimate life fulfillment and wealth beyond strategy. Here is my interview with Wayte. Before we begin today's episode, we have a special invitation for you. There's a growing shift in how we understand the ways we live, lead, create, and relate. Many of us are starting to see how everything is interconnected, from health and well-being to leadership, relationships, creating wealth, and our purpose and alignment. What would it take to thrive in this world and step into your next evolution? We are bringing together over 60 speakers across holistic well-being, including mind, body, emotions, energy, human potential, wealth, leadership, relationships, and more, to explore what multidimensional well-being looks like. And you can be part of many exciting live events hosted during the Holistic Wellbeing Summit from June 8th to 14th. Get your free ticket now at holisticwellbeingsummit.com. And now, back to today's episode. Hi, Rachel. It's so great to have you on the podcast today. I've been looking forward to getting to chat with you, and I think we will be talking about frequency and how it is connected to everything, which is such a fantastic topic. I look forward to diving in with you. Welcome to the podcast.
Petra, thank you. And when you gave me the name of the title, I was like, oh, this is going to be an exciting podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing where it unfolds.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. And I think this is the joy of podcasting, is that very often we don't know where this ends up and we don't know what unfolds. And this is just part of being in the moment and talking about things as they come up. And I very much enjoy that. And I look forward to sharing that space with you today and doing that. So for starters, Rachel, would you like to share a little bit about yourself and maybe your story or parts of your journey that you feel relate to what you do today? What has brought you here? And also share with our listeners what it is that you do today.
Okay. Thank you, first of all, for having me here, Petra. When you asked me that question, what brought me here today and why are we talking about frequency? Currently now, when I work with people, I'm working with them on a frequency level to shift their energy, because a lot of, especially with leaders, I think a lot of when growth is needed is actually a frequency level that we need to shift things in order for people to evolve and grow. But how did I get here? Like, why am I talking about frequency and sound? So actually my journey as one from being an opera singer, a trained opera singer, which was back through my 20s into my early 30s. And so that's when my voice developed. But interestingly, it was also a place where my voice shrunk, because in that world, I very much felt it was about judgment, about whether you're good enough. Do you sound right? Are you in tune? Have you been picked for this audition? Are you good enough for this? And back then, in my early 20s, I didn't have the abilities to deal with what rejection was and how you overcome that. And it's not something we're actually taught either. We just work our way through it. And it really led me to actually retreat. And maybe this will resonate with some of your listeners. I think because there was so much rejection, there was so much this, I thought, okay, I need to protect myself here. I need to protect myself from any more of this hurt. So I'm just going to step out of that world. I'm going to stop singing, and then I can't be hurt anymore. There's going to be no more rejection because I'm just never going to use my voice again. And that's how I navigated it back then. And that was a good 15 to 20 years ago now, showing my age. But it's what is a real blessing about it, actually. So I had to go through a real journey of then discovering myself. What am I here to do? What am I meant to be doing? And that led me to the corporate world for a while, which showed me, which was a real eye-opener to me, because it showed me where I really didn't belong and where I really didn't want to be. But it also showed me a lot of what people go through. It showed me a lot of stress. It showed me a lot of anxiety. It showed me that a lot of people are going through life, but actually they're not that happy. They're not that content, and they're just going through the motions. And I remembered sitting there one day and going, "What? Why is everyone here? What are we doing? Why are we all just staring at our computers?" But there seems to be no joy, no fulfillment, no happiness, or just stress for money. At the end of the day, you get your paycheck. And that was like, that very clearly wasn't the world for me. So I also left that. Dealing with my own stress and anxiety, it caused me a lot of anxiety. And so I had to really face that and deal with that, which led me to the more energetic spiritual world, which I am now in, and I ran my own business for a long time, actually as a holistic therapist, which was fantastic. But still never using my voice, still feeling that part of my life was closed down, till I realized there was much more within me that was wanting to come out. And I had many more gifts that I'd probably been hiding behind for fear of what people would say. It's not something that was in my family. It's not something that I was brought up with, any spirituality, any energy work, any healing work. It just wasn't even in my radar. Had to go on this journey myself. Until I was hitting 40 and was like, okay, there is something beyond what I'm doing right now that needs to come out. There's something in me. It was like, it was one of those pivotal moments where I was like, I can either get stuck in the fear and the doubt and that I'm not good enough and I can stay there, or I can allow this deeper thing of me, which is getting stronger and stronger, to come out. And that became stronger. Therefore, the fear, I had to clear the fear. And then in that moment, when I realized that my voice was wanting to come back again, I was with clients. I was like, I need to change how I work here. My voice needs to speak. And within a few weeks of me declaring I'm ready for what this bigger thing is, I was with a client and I said, I need to sing. I said, my voice has to open back up because there's something in your body that is stuck, that needs clearing, that needs shifting, that only the sound that I sing is going to clear it. And within that moment, bear in mind, I had not sung for 15 years, I just let my voice open back up again. And I sang around her and she cried, I cried. And it was one of those moments I was like, oh, okay, this all makes sense now. That's why I had to learn to sing. That's why I had to understand a lot about energy and frequency and all of those things to be able to fully be myself and allow this gift out to be what it's meant to be. Not something that's here to be judged or listened to in terms of a concert and people. It's actually not about me at all. It's about the people in front of me and what they need. And I can allow my voice to bless them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that part of your journey, because I feel this happens to so many of us, that because of fear and self-doubt, we actually just don't let our gifts be shared with our clients, our loved ones, and the world, really. So there's always a piece of us that feels like it's missing. And you described that a little bit when you went into corporate and you said, I found out where it didn't belong. So if we don't let those pieces of us shine, I feel there's always a bit that feels like something's missing. There's a hole there somewhere that we're trying to fill. So yeah, I'm so glad that you found your path and you found your joy and your alignment and all of this. And I'm really curious, when we talk about frequency, of course, the voice can make many different frequencies and you can tune into that. How do you work with that with your clients now? Because I'm very interested when you said you sang around your client. Sounds fascinating. So share a little bit with how you work with that now, how you bring your gift into working with clients and even working with yourself.
Yeah, because I do use it on myself as well. So yeah, it's really, so this has been something that I have really had to hone my own. It's like my unique skill set. I've had to hone myself over the past probably 9 years or so now. So how it works, this is how I feel it works and how I share it with people. So when I'm working, let's say with a client, and I feel the frequency of their emotion, maybe that might be anger or doubt or sadness or something within them that's holding them back. Their programming is holding them back from being able to really let themselves out. Ultimately, they want to be fully themselves. And we often have programming and frequencies and emotions that hold us back. And they're often trapped, stuck in the body. And the way I'm able to use my voice is twofold. First of all, if there's something that their body, because often when it's, let's call it a low vibrational emotion, maybe is anger or fear or doubt or whatever it is, we often hold on to it and we don't allow ourselves to process the emotion out. So it gets stuck, it gets trapped in the body. And then we put things on top of it. We numb it with things. We tell ourselves, oh, we shouldn't be feeling these things. So we numb it with all kinds of things to not allow ourselves to express it. So I use the sound and their body will communicate with me actually. And I will feel what's going on. And then I will pick up the frequency of what is stored in the body and use the sound to help it move, to express it for them. Sometimes they've never been able to express it. So the sound is expressing the emotion for them. And when that emotion, actually, when my sound reaches the resonance of their emotion, the emotion's, oh, I don't have to stay stuck here wherever it is in the body. I can actually be felt and actually I can move on and I can clear out of the body. So it clears. And that's how it works, which is beautiful. So we have a clearing, we have the sound that will clear. And when it's cleared, it doesn't need to come back. So it's cleared and the program associated with that gets cleared and closed and shut down so that then they're like, oh, I feel different. I'm not being, they don't get triggered the same how they might have done in the past. And then on another level, we can use the frequency and the sound to raise someone's vibration. So if we're wanting to be more, let's say, peace, we're wanting to feel those higher vibrational emotions of peace and of joy and of expansion and of abundance. I can also use the sound and the frequency to raise someone's internal frequency as well to a higher vibration.
Wow, this is fascinating. And of course, we do have a lot of examples how this works with tuning forks, one entraining with the other, or I think somebody even mentioned guitar strings and training with each other. So there's a lot of examples in our daily lives and in nature where this exact principle comes to light and how it works. I'm fascinated by the fact that this works on our emotional things that are stuck inside of us and we can actually clear things that way.
Yeah. It's like I am the tuning fork. Do you know what I mean? When you said that, it's like I tune to the vibration in the body and we become a match. And then I can be the sound, the frequency of it, and then it can move. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so gentle. I feel that we can spend a lot of time re-traumatizing ourselves by talking about things and bringing up things that have hurt us or traumatized us. But this way, I feel is actually very gentle when you are entraining to that frequency that is stuck in there and then it releases. This sounds like a very gentle way to actually begin some of the healing that we may need. How do you feel about that when you work with your clients? And I feel it's such a gentle and supportive space and a way to approach that.
Yeah, it's really supportive. It's gentle, but it's potent, which is what's so lovely to be able to. And I think also for someone to feel safe enough to be able to be held and to be able to, like you said, remove the emotional attachment to the trauma, whatever the trauma may have been, big trauma, little trauma. We're all affected by trauma in some way in our past. But what we don't have to do is go into the story of it, because I think sometimes if we re-talk about it, it almost like reprograms it back, actually. And sometimes, and we can also get attached to our stories. I understand that we can get attached to what's happened, and that can become our identity. And we live by that, but actually we don't have to live by that. It doesn't have to be who you are. And when you show people that you can be free from that, you can be clear from that, and it doesn't have to define who you are now. In fact, you can clear it. It's, oh, wow, it's exciting. But for some people, I understand it's also scary, because they're like, but this is who I've been my whole life. Am I ready to go there? Do I want change? So those are questions I always go through with my clients as well, because this is a journey of your podcast, like a journey. It's like you almost have to be open and ready to go, I'm ready for this change, and I'm open to that.
That's a really great point. And I feel what you just spoke about for identity, this is a huge piece also that we come across when we talk about chronic illness, chronic pain, that there's a certain element of grieving even to letting go of that identity that was attached to whatever is happening with us, our challenges, be they mental, emotional, physical. There's an identity with that letting that go and releasing that can bring up even feelings of grief, right? We're grieving that self, that old self that we're letting go. So the process of that in itself, though, can be so liberating and so healing that when you move through these pieces, you realize that empowerment that has been created through that process. That is the most amazing feeling. I think of, as you said, we don't have to live in that certain way. We don't have to carry that around with us.
No, we don't. And I think that's what's amazing. If anyone takes anything from listening to this, it's that your story doesn't define you. Your emotions don't define you. You don't need to stay stuck in it. You can, whether it's through me or some other modality, go find what works for you. I think ultimately there has to be some form of decision inside of ourselves that goes, okay, I'm ready for change. And to trust yourself in that decision, but also know that it goes up and down. So also be prepared to go on that beautiful journey, because this is just my opinion. It's definitely worth going on rather than staying stuck where you are. Even if that stuck is known and familiar and you know it, the journey is definitely worth it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And there are sometimes some steps forwards and some steps backwards, and that's a natural part of, I feel, how we heal and how we live and thrive, right? There are waves, and there are different things that we go through, and it's part of who we are as humans. So to be expected that we have not a fully linear journey, but there's some curves and challenges, some mountain peaks and valleys in there as it happens.
Yeah.
So that's a great point.
Yeah. And also talking about frequency, this is what I've realized, the more I'm intentional about the frequency that I'm emitting, as in whether I'm in peace, whether I'm allowing myself to, even if there's things going on in my day that may feel that they trigger me, or there's something I see coming that might be quite difficult for me to navigate. If I can set my day up and my frequency from a place of, I'm going to feel peaceful, I'm going to allow myself to feel joy, and set that frequency, you are a tuning fork in that sense. So if your frequency is one of lightness and peace and joy, that's what you're going to see reflected back in your world. So you're going to see that reflected back in the people that you speak to, the conversations that you have, how your day goes. So we have so much control, if that's the right word, over how our day goes, more than we think. But we have to be the one that sets that. What vibration am I setting for my day? Are my expectations that this is going to be hard? It's going to be fearful. The people that are going to come across me are going to be against me. If that's is that what you're putting out there? That is what you will see. When you recognize that, you go, actually, I can change that and set my vibration expectation of this, not expectation, but just my vibration at this level. That is what will be reflected back at me.
Yeah, that is actually because when we get up in the morning and say we stub our toe, that's the frequency then for the whole day. Oh, the day is ruined. I wish I could just go back to bed. And we have that choice at that point to reset, raise our frequency, come into the day a little bit of a different way. I love that. And how can listeners work on that in their own lives? They're maybe not used to actually being intentional about their frequency or even being aware of that they have a choice in this and can control this to some extent. How can they work on this in their own lives? What could they start off with to keep that frequency in a bit of a higher place throughout the day?
Yeah. There are many ways. The way that I started was to be much more intentional about, I put myself first. And this is not in a selfish way. It was, you know what? I'm not happy. I'm not where I want to be. And I can't expect someone else to come in and change that for me. Initially, I was looking for, this person needs to change. I was waiting for external factors to come and rescue me, to come and save me. And that's not going to happen. I intentionally decided that I was going to take some time for myself every day, every morning, to just be with myself, even if that was just for 5 minutes initially, just to sit in silence and breathe, and not with any sort of, I must feel good after this. Just give myself, even if it's just giving yourself 5 minutes in the morning to yourself to drink your cup of tea or your cup of coffee, whatever that is, something really simple that is for you. Exercise is massive for me. That helps me move and shift my mood. But the one thing that's really coming to me that may potentially help listeners is, say you stub your toe, like you said, Petra, you stub your toe, and you can either go in that moment, yeah, it might be slightly painful at that time, but in that moment, can you stop and pause and think, am I reacting to this from I'm just totally reacting to this and going, oh, I'm so angry, I'm so this, my day's gone wrong. And you almost go into that, what's that word? Where you just on automatic pilot and I'm triggered and I'm cross and I'm angry and my day's not going well. Or can you in that moment go, okay, recognize it, just pause a moment, stop a moment and go, actually, do I need to react that way? Or can I pause? Can I simply breathe and choose how I want to respond to this moment? Whether that be you stubbed your toe, whether that be someone's come in and they've frustrated you, they've angered you, your partner's come in and you suddenly feel that you're having this explosive argument that you didn't want to have. Before that happens, before you allow yourself to spout out whatever you're triggered about, if you can just stop for a moment, pause, and have a little bit of awareness and think, how can I respond differently to this? Can I respond differently to this? That could be quite life-changing. It may sound quite small, but actually you don't have to react every time the same way. It doesn't have to always be the same thing that it's always been. You can pause, you can breathe, you can take a moment and choose to respond differently.
That is so empowering and actually moves us from that reaction part of the equation to being in control of how we want to spend our energy, expend our energy going forward into the day in that moment. And that pause has so much power to bring that change and to let us just actually become aware of what's happening in the background. This, I think, connects back to those things that you were talking about, these blocks and these stuck emotions that we often have that tend to automatically create reactions because they haven't been cleared out yet. And so we default to that. We don't even know what's happening. Like you said, happens on autopilot, but it's because of all these things that are still stuck in there. We run these loops, we run these patterns until we become aware and we pause. So much power in that, and empowering for our day and our lives, for decision making, for our healing journeys, for really everything. Our relationships too, right? Imagine we're in the midst of an argument and we just take a pause and we come back to ourselves and come back to the conflict or argument in a different way. This has so much power to change on every level that ripples out into our lives. So thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
So powerful. Yeah. And I'm curious in your work, because you have discovered yourself again in this whole journey, and now you work with clients on helping them discover their purpose, their alignment, find their joy, come back into life in the way that they want to be present. What are you finding that people are actually stuck on? What are some of these common things that you're coming across? Because I feel our listeners, we've talked about frequency, we've talked about how this can work, but how can this actually help them in their lives by working on what you're describing and working with frequency on these things? What have you found in this journey that people get really stuck on?
It depends who's coming to me. When I'm working with, let's say I'm working with a female, like a founder or a leader or someone who's like running their own business, running something and they're leading something, they come to me and they're like, it's like they've hit a wall that they can't get through. And they find that if they're often either stressed or they are feeling like, if I do any more, I'm going to be exhausted. I've got no more time to do any more, Rachel. But I also know that there is something beyond where I'm at and I can't reach that. I can't get there. They keep coming, they keep meeting themselves. So they have this sort of like fear around, if I do more, I'm going to be exhausted. But also, if I stay where I am, I'm not happy. I'm not fully in my joy. I'm not fully purposeful. I know there is something deeper, and there's there is something more, a different way of me being able to show up and live, but I can't quite get there. That's when they realize that what they don't necessarily need is more performance or more strategy or more goals or more like doing. They've done that and they're like, I don't want any more doing, Rachel. I'm done with doing. I actually want to get to know me, and I actually want to come back to myself, and actually they're ready to look inside of themselves and work at that deeper level, at a frequency, at an emotional, at a vibrational level. And like I said in the past, they don't need to come in and tell me about all their childhood traumas or everything that they've been through. They can come in and have that space held, and we clear all the layers of the onion. And so what they then realize is, oh, I can go in this, they have choice. I can either carry on with what I'm doing and do it in a different way, or actually I can move over here and have a much more impactful life, an easy life. And generally there's more wealth and abundance that comes that way. They're often stuck financially in some way, and they're on a treadmill of this is the only way it can happen. But when we move them over here and they come back to themselves and they realize the truth of money, the truth of themselves, the truth of like who they are, it's, oh, this whole new me. It's not like they change. They just shift timelines. They just shift to a different place where life is more purposeful and more joyful and more easy, and everything flows because their frequency's changed. They've shifted it. I've helped them do that. I don't do it for them. I help them do it themselves.
I think that's a really great distinction that you're making, is that as practitioners, we don't fix people or do it for them. We just provide a space or a channel for that to happen so that we can each empower our own inner intuition, our own inner healer, our own inner power, if you will, to do those things. Yeah.
And it's interesting, what was just coming through as you were talking is they often want to say more and speak more and share more and have more impact. And they've got so much more to say, but it's just they've never allowed themselves, through fear of what people might say, or they heard as a child that they were too loud, or they were too noisy, or they were too this, or they were too that. And we have to just clear that. And then they just know who they are. They don't know who they are. Often people don't know fully who they are, and they want to know who they are. And that soul frequency essence part of them is going, but I'm ready now. Let me come out.
Yeah. I feel that all of these things that get stuck, and then these lower frequencies, like you were mentioning, fear and anxiety and all of these, or anger even, I feel they keep us small in some sense. They disconnect us from our intuition very often, our creativity, our voice in the world, right? When we take that out, when we release that, when we get this unstuck, there's a whole new shine that comes out when we are ready to actually have people hear our voice, and we want to put our creativity into projects and showing up in the world. So I feel like it can make a huge difference. And is this something that we can all work on, or are there different I want to say, because frequencies are obviously not all the same, but can we work on this with the voice? Can people work on this themselves as well? Or does that work better with a practitioner? Kind of have a sense that if I were to just sing to myself, probably nothing would happen. So, how does that work?
It's a good question. First of all, I just wanted to come back to what you're saying about the low vibrational feelings, because sometimes we can think, oh, I'm feeling that again. And it can get you down and you can think, oh, I'm feeling that again. But actually, when I feel them now, I'm like, actually, that's a great, because this is signaling something to me. This is showing me something. It's showing me that there's a program here. There's a belief pattern here. And I can move that. I can clear that. I don't have to. So I don't want people to think, oh, I'm feeling these emotions, these low vibrations. That's a bad thing. Actually, no, use it as a signal to you that there's something here, underlying here. And I can work through that. It's our emotions. There are emotions that are energy in motion. So actually, we're not meant to hold on to the feelings of them. We can let them pass like a cloud. It doesn't have to stay stuck like a dark cloud and it's always raining. No, it doesn't. It can be a cloud that moves on. That is, your emotions are energy in motion. So I just wanted to help people understand that. In terms of what we can do ourselves, I don't teach people like the sound aspect of it, how they can do it for themselves. But certainly you can do what feels right to you in that moment to move it. So if you feel like, you know what, there's something stuck here, and if I were to just allow yourself to be the vibration of it, and maybe you do want to let the anger out, just allow the sound to come out of your body. Like, just allow it out. Allow yourself to express it in whatever way that needs to be for you so it can move. It could be that you need to move your body. You're like, do you know what? I feel it by moving my body. I'm going to dance. I'm going to sing. I'm going to move to let it out. Everybody has their own way of being able to allow it to move. It might be that you need to watch a movie that's going to make you cry so you can release it that way. It might be you need to put some music on. Just pop some music on and let yourself express it out and clear it. It's not as difficult as people think it is. I think you just have to give yourself that permission to go, I'm going to release this. Whatever way my body, speak to your body, ask your body, how do you want to clear this? It will show you how it wants to do it.
That's a great point. I love that. Gives us choice. And
exactly
that we can tune in the moment and actually support ourselves through these waves of emotions that come up in different situations.
Yeah, and it's great, very empowering for clients, because when I know them more now and they work with me for longer, I'm like, you can shift this yourself. Like, and to be able to empower them to recognize it, I go, oh yeah, okay, I can do that myself, is also great.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And a little bit of, I want to say, some nuggets for our listeners to take away into their own lives, and tuning in, awareness, finding the ways that can support you through these energies in motion that we experience every day. So, and of course, if our listeners are curious now, Rachel, and they would like to connect with you, or they want to work with you on their own challenges, their own blocks, maybe their own emotions that are stuck somewhere in there, what kind of programs, services, resources, what do you have available for our listeners to connect with?
Oh, amazing. Thanks for asking. So if people want to reach out, there are different ways. It's all on my website, rachelwayte.com. But there's a private aspect where people can come and just work one-to-one with me. And we work very deeply and quickly and as fast as we can to move them. There are the group programs. This works fantastically in a group atmosphere as well. So they will be able to find any sort of group programs that I have run that they can actually just take themselves through as well. Sometimes people just want to know, I can put on an app, I can listen to something, I can put it on and it can help me clear. So that is also available to people. There is also a free resource on my website as well. So that people, I think we'll be able to probably link that in the show notes as well, to free resources where people can just begin to go, actually, I want to start somewhere. I don't know where to begin. Let me just see if I can feel this and experience it for myself. That is also available to people as well from the website.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And yes, we will be linking to all of Rachel's offerings in the show notes as well. So be sure to check there on the different resources that she just touched on. And I feel like a lot of this energy related healing, energy medicine, frequency medicine. A lot of this works perfectly over distance, right? So working virtually really isn't a stop or anything to this work, because energy doesn't really know any of those boundaries that we physically put in place.
No, you're so right. It has no boundaries whatsoever. I don't see anyone face to face. All my clients are online globally. Whether their body is in front of me, literally sitting next to me, or thousands of miles away, makes no difference. I still feel the energy of it wherever you are, which is amazing.
Yeah, and gives such great access now to a lot of the things that we simply weren't able to access some time ago, where we had to physically come into someone's office or practice to be able to experience this. In some ways, technology has been very supportive of energy work.
It was. In many ways, I was very grateful to lockdown, because it forced me to go, oh, I'm just going to do this online, and it opened up a massive world to me.
Absolutely. And for listeners as well, no matter where you are in the world, if you feel you'd like to connect with Rachel, please pop into the show notes, take a look and see where you can reach her, and take advantage of all these amazing things that are out there for your own healing journey, for your own, I want to say, even finding purpose, finding vision. If you're feeling that there's something missing in your life, you can't quite get to it. And as Rachel said, maybe you have hit a wall and you know there's something beyond it, but sometimes we just can't see the forest for all the trees. We work with a practitioner who then can help us move through that a little bit more efficiently. So take advantage of that. And of course, let us know if you end up working with Rachel, how that experience is for you. I always like to know what happens when our listeners connect with our guests, and so much magic that comes out of that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. And Rachel, thank you so much for sharing this time and your wisdom with our listeners, with myself. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you today, and I've learned so many new things that I could take away into my life. So thank you. So much gratitude for you joining me today.
My pleasure. Thanks, Petra.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Take care of yourselves and be well. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen in. If you enjoy the Jōrni Podcast, please support us by subscribing, sharing on social media, and leaving us a review. We appreciate you. And you can find more of The Jōrni on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our website, thejorni.com. Sending you love and courage, and see you next time.